Peace. It's a Toughness one. And I'm gonna do another video on this free Negro owners of slaves in the United States in 1830. And I'm just gonna give a little further point of view from my further research of what I understand. I do realize that the first video that I made had some noise in the background, so I apologize about that, but I will be having a different narrative, or similar narrative towards that video. But I'm gonna redo this one, and I'm gonna have some different, like I said, some different thoughts and things as I read. So let's do this. All right. So free Negro owners of slaves in the United States in 1830, taking up study of free Negroes in the United States, the Research Department Association for the Study of Negro Life and History decided to make this statistical report as to the heads of families, their ownerships, families, social relations with the whites. It said the aim was to facilitate the further study of this. I'm sorry, hold up. Alright, the further study of this neglected group. Most of these people have been forgotten. For persons supposedly well informed in history are surprised to learn today that about 500,000, almost 1/7 of the Negroes of this country were free prior to the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865. These names will therefore serve as a link between the past and present, and will thereby lessen the labor of research in this field. There was now hold up, see, now you gotta remember something. Say lessen the labor of research. This is good, but there's more research that has to be done. You know what I'm saying? So never stop your research because someone tells you, you know what I'm saying? I guess they saying that it would give you a better perspective of what to go off on. But just keep that in mind as you're reading, all right? So there were several reasons for selecting the census record of 1830. The first place, the earliest reports do not give as much information as the census of 1830 at the time. Moreover, the free Negroes had about reached their highest mark as a district class. The reaction would set in earlier in the century restricted their freedom, and in many cases expelled them from the South. This expelled them from the South. Why would they be expelled from the South? Because that's where their indigenous land was at. Why would they care where slaves live at? You know what I'm saying? Why would they care where a slave live at unless they was from that area? This census then evidently reports the names of the largest number of representative free Negroes than any other census prior. Their database, it's to a lower status or their migration from the South. This track reached its highest point between 1830 and 1835. Now, why it say this track? Now, hold up. Let's read that again. All right. Thus far, just for this far, the information we got. All right. So it says, let me see. Let me find that where it started at. It say this census then evidently reports the name of the largest number of representative free Negroes than any other census prior to their database, to the lowest status of their migration, okay, to the lowest status of their migration from the South, meaning that they was leaving from the South. This track reached its highest point from 1830 to 1835. Okay, what was in 1830 and around 1835? The Trail of Tears. Most of the free Negroes in the North in 1830 had been there for some years. The census report shows that the majority of free Negro owners were slaves, were such from the point of view of philanthropy. In many instances, the husband purchased the wife or vice versa. The slave belonged to such families were few compared with their large numbers found among the whites or well-developed plantations. Slave Negroes were in some cases the children of free fathers who had purchased his wife. Now remember that, okay? Now, I mean, I went over this before, but I'm going to get some further clarification to some of this stuff. Say, if he did not thereafter emancipate the mother, as so many such husbands failed to do, his children were born his slaves, and were thus reported by the enumerators. Some of these husbands were not anxious to liberate their wives immediately. Wow. It say they considered it advisable to put them on probation for a few years, and if they did not find them satisfaction, they would sell their wives as slaveholders disposed of Negroes. For example, a Negro shoemaker in Charleston, South Carolina. Wow. Damn. So think about that. Let me stop it there. I mean, like I said, I went on this before. Most people seen this video, but some people had complaints about the noise. So I'm just going, like I said, I'm just gonna make another video on it. I got a little time to kill. I just had to write this little paper, whatever. It was 1,000 words. I'm gonna re-edit that after I get finished doing this. So for the most time, it got a little dead time. I just was looking this over. All right, so it's saying that the slaveholders disposed of Negroes. All right, so it's saying that a husband said, all right, well, I'm not going to free her yet. Till I make sure she's on my team, or till I make sure she's truly with me, or whatever. If I think she's on some bullshit, then I'm cutting her off. And this is what they did. And so he's saying that. And that's some foul shit, man. Because even, like, I don't know, maybe the situation was bad at that point in time. Who knows what the energy was among the black and the Aborigine, or the Aborigine black man, the Aborigine black woman in this country. Who knows what the tension was at that time? Because listen to what he's saying. He's saying that he had the option to buy the wife, whether or not she was good for him or not. He still could have bought her and just got her, but he eventually kept her as a slave. So it's a Negro shoemaker in Charleston, South Carolina, purchased his wife for $700. But on finding her hard to please, he sold her a few months thereafter for $750, gaining $50. So he kind of made a profit off of that. By the transaction, the writer personally knew a man of Cumberland County, Virginia, whose mother was purchased by his father, who had first bought himself. Because ignored of a man slave, she gave him her husband manumission papers, that they might escape together to the free soil. Upon detecting this plot, the officers of the law got the impression that the husband had turned over the papers to the slave and arrested the free man for the supposed offense. He had such difficulties in extricting himself from the complications that the attorney's fee amounted to $500. All right, so I guess he had to pay that for the attorney fee. To pay them, he disposed of his faithless wife for that amount. Wow. So he sold his wife instead of paying for. Wow. All right, so basically saying that them papers, and that's the papers that you see in a lot of times when you watch these movies. And that's what you see in 12 Years of Slavery. That this guy was a free guy, and he was what they call Shanghai. He got Shanghaied and shit. He got sold into slavery. They took his papers from him, or whatever the situation was. I ain't seen that movie in a minute, but I do remember that part, or whatever. And it's a lot of interesting parts in it that if you read this, you'll definitely be able to correlate to what was going on at that time, because they do give you some historical, events, or some events that was researched from history. You know what I'm saying? So some of the stuff is accurate. It's just not being told in the way you want it to be told. Just because they saying that you was an African slave don't mean that you wasn't an Aborigine slave and that took place. And remember, most of the slaves in this country was Indians. You know what I'm saying? And there was millions of them that was shipped out of here, as well as millions of them that was sold into slavery. And if them Indians was on these plantations, and they outnumbered any African 9-1. So, I mean, people who don't do the research, you will never understand that. Alright? So what was that? So benevolent Negroes often purchased slaves to make their lot easier by gaining them their freedom for a normal sum, or a permitting no, it's a or by permitting them to work it out on liberal terms. John Barry Mitchell, a Negro Baptist minister in St. Louis, thus came into possession of as many as 20 slaves by 1836. Now remember, you gotta really have your thinking cap on when you're doing this history, right? It's saying it came in 1836, man. A lot of stuff was going on at that time, man. At that time, a lot of Indians was being captured. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff that was going on. You just can't take the normal narrative to think that this is the all of the, you know what I'm saying, everything that they telling you is what really happened. And that's a lot of stuff, man. And I don't even choose to talk about it because I don't understand everything as far as, you know what I'm saying, the whole slave method. I do overstand certain things of it, but for the most part, man, it get confusing sometimes, man. It get confusing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of dead end doors, man, when you do this research. Alright, so 20 slaves by 1836. It say the exploration type of Negro slave owner. It say, moreover, sometimes feeling the sting of conscience, liberated his slaves. It say, thus Samuel Gibson. Now he's saying the exploration type of Negro slave owners. Moreover, sometimes feeling the sting of his conscience, liberating his slaves. Meaning that this man. Now understand this too. What do you think? What do you think, and how do you think these people got their freedom? The ones that was owning the slaves. In most cases, these are military men. These are aborigines who probably fought in the military, probably went back, these are people. These are the indentured servants. That's trust and believe that. Trust and believe that they had some type of either treaty or some type of agreement with these people. Because if they was enslaving people and warring people, the only people that they wasn't in warring was the people who was like, all right, well, boom, we could work together. And that went from there. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, in certain situations, you had some of these Europeans who was faithful to some of these Aborigines, and in other situations, you had some of these Europeans that went back and backstabbed them or did something, you know what I'm saying, or went back on their word. You know what I'm saying? I read a lot of both. I read a lot of Europeans, you know what I'm saying, really just wanted just to be here, and they wanted peace with the people here. They really didn't want to beef, but it was because of the situations at hand and how it was being pushed from both ends that it was war. So the exploration type of Negro was the one that had a conscience and normally liberated his slave. So Samuel Gibson, a Negro of Mississippi, in 1844, he brought his 6 slaves to Cincinnati, Ohio, and settled them on free territory. Practically all of the Negro slave owners were in the South. All right. So it say these facts were extracted from the manuscript returns of those who took the census of the United States in 1830. After C. Carter G. Woodson, the editor, had first copied the records of one state, acquainting himself in details with the information given in these census report. The statistics were then copied under his direction by 3 persons. One of them has had the advantage of 2 years normal training after finishing high school, and two of whom have finished college courses at Howard University and at the University of Michigan. The matters thus collected was then verified by Mr. Al Ruthius, say a teller, an alumnus of Michigan and a Harvard Master of Art in History and Economics, now employed as associate investigation of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Now that's something that has to be really researched. Negro life and history is something that has to be really researched. You know what I'm saying? All right, so further verification was made by Carter G. Woodson. These records was copied just as those who took the census returned their findings. It say that the only change made in the case of the Negro owners of the slaves was to write the family's name first, a rule which the enumerators did not always follow. Now remember that. I told you that sometimes you do see the names or you see things that's not correctly. I said it's a some enumerator made the distinction as to race in recording the names, but merely indicate the status of the heads of the family under free persons of color. Okay, so remember that trust and believe these free people of color was Aborigines. Okay, other enumerators wrote Negro or color or used F or C. It say for free person of color FMC, for free man of color FWC, for free woman of color direct after the name. Alright, so it say this question marks after the name or the figure or in the column indicates that the record in such that the fact could not be accurately determined. Okay. Alright, let me get some water, man. Alright, so slavery, however, at that time had no extermination, I'm sorry. Let me redo that. It said at that time had not been exterminated altogether in the North, and even the Negroes were following in the footsteps of the white man. Now, who else was following the footsteps of the white man? They were saying the Indians. But remember, check this out. Check this out. These are the Indians, okay? These are the Indians that had slaves, okay? So it's saying, as this report will show, in the South where almost all the Negro slave owners were found. Moreover, we find some of them competing with large planters in the numbers of the slaves they own. Most of such Negroes proprietors lived in Louisiana, South Carolina, Maryland, and Virginia, and did the majority of such slave owners. There are, moreover, a few instances of confusing absentees ownerships with Negro ownership. Sometimes a free Negro had charge of a plantation, but did not own slaves himself. The enumerator returned him as the owner of the slaves. Okay, so it say accepting those of Louisiana, one may say that most of the Negro slave owners lived in the urban communities in those parts of the South where the influence of the kind planters near the coast was not felt. The Negro owners of the slaves did not frequently appear, nor appeared the free Negroes themselves, moreover, encountered such difficulties in the lower South and Southwest, okay? And say that they had to seek more hospitality community in the free states, okay? In the Southwest. They weren't even in the Southwest at that point in time, but we already know that they were stretching out. By 1840, the trend towards degrading the free Negro to a lower status has become evident even in apparently benevolent slave-holding state. Just before the outbreak of the Civil War, for the free Negroes were receiving practically no consideration in the South and very in the North. History here repeats itself, then it showing the varying attitude of the whites towards the blacks in the circles of the national development. I say the column gives the age, does not every time the age of the head of the family. In some instances, the age of the head of the family cannot be actually figured out. The age here given is that the oldest person in the family of the sex indicate as head of the family. The record as hold up. It say the age here giving that the oldest person in the family of the sex indicated as the head of the family. Okay, so we're gonna see something when we go down. It say the record as the sex, moreover, is often confusing. The name of the male is sometimes given as the head of the family, while the sex indicate as females, and vice versa. In 80% of the cases which the investigator has tested. However, it can be shown that this is the actual age of of the head of the family. 10 to 20 means ages, 10 to 20, 26, so on. It say, alright, so it say the column entitled slaves give the number of slaves owned by the head of the family. Total mean the number of persons in the family together with all of the slaves. This enabled the student to figure out for himself whether the slaveholder was an exploration or benevolent. The small number of slaves, however, does not always signify benevolence or on the part of the owner. Alright, so let's deal with this, man. We already touched on this, alright, but it's Alabama. We already went over the names. I'm not going over the names this time. I'm going to show y'all something different, okay? And I actually got this from his sister Phoenix Moon and what she was saying. Okay, she said something to me that I caught on to, in which she said that how if these people was all slaves or was from another land, how did these people live to be in their hundreds? Now you're gonna see on here that there is numerous people on here that's old from the age of 55 to 100. You see the life expectancy in this country, like in the 1930s among the Europeans. A lot of the Europeans was not living long. How was these so-called slaves outliving them? Because these people was the indigenous people of this land. Okay, meaning that their indigenous ways is what allowed them to live a long life. Listen, think of it like this, man. Let's deal with this, right? You see number of people in the hundreds. Do you think at this time they had wheelchairs? Let's look up and see when the wheelchair was invented. We know it probably was invented around that time, but come on, man, use your brain. These people were still working. They were still working. Alright, so we're going to run through this real quick because it's a lot to cover, and I only got about another maybe 45 minutes to complete this video, so alright, so let's review this. Alright, Alabama, you got slaves, you got total. Alright, so like in this instance, Harris P. Thomas, it say 24 slaves, total 25. So is he altogether? It's only one person in the family, which is him, and the rest of them is from. The rest of them are counted as 24, and the ages is from 55 to 100. Right? Now ask yourself this question, right? If this was a benevolent slave owner, why would he pick slaves of such old age? You understand? What's 55 to 100? We would consider that old, especially if they working on the plantations in harsh environments. So that's something you got to take into account. Now these people was living long because they was walking barefooted. You know what I'm saying? They probably was eating the straight greens. You know how people in the South eat? They like collard greens and all kale and all that stuff grows in the South. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that people was eating, man. People was eating all this, you know what I'm saying, all them high mineral fried vegetables, man. Green leafy vegetables, man. Green leafy vegetables is longevity along with sun and along with detoxification, man. And you stretching properly, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's long. That's why most people, when they do a lot of these detox, they drink these green juices. They don't even add no carbohydrate, they don't add no sweetener to it, which would be something like an apple. Like most people do these green juices, they just do straight bitter greens, man. And sometimes it be difficult to get it down, but for the most part, you feel that charge after you drink something like that. And this is what your ancestors was eating. They was eating nice mineral fried, man. It's everything in the dirt, magnesium, selenium, stuff that ain't even in the dirt now that you gotta put in there. You gotta test the dirt to see what ain't in there. All this stuff was already in the dirt. Okay, so that's one example, right? Now you'll see names on here, but remember the last names in some cases you're gonna see the name straight out, first name, last name, but in most cases it's gonna be last name, first name. So alright, so you see this is one example, 55 to 100. David Monarch, 55 to 100. Louis Royal, 55 to 100. All right, we're gonna do that today. All right, 55 to 100. This is, well, Teresa Chastain, and altogether she got 2 slaves and it's 3. So, and then think of it like this too. A lot of these people was probably family, man. Was more than likely family. Ain't nobody gonna have no 100-year-old slave, man. Who? I mean, why would you think of it? That's a liability, man. But you have to think of it too like this. Either these people was not 100 sickly. They wasn't sickly 100 years old. You understand what I'm saying? They wasn't sickly 100 years old. They was 100-year-old, still maneuvering, still walking around, still in the garden, still doing this, still talking. They ain't had no dementia. They ain't had none of this stuff that people get now. They ain't have none of that. They have none of that because they was walking around barefooted, and that shit was pulling the earth magnetic. I mean, how the fuck we call that? The negative ions in the earth is what pulls like all the heavy metals and all the stuff that need to be toxified through your feet. That's why a lot of people, like, you know what I'm saying, you put an onion on the bottom of your feet, man, that'll pull like the cold and a lot of stuff out of you, man. A lot of people don't detoxify. That's the reason why people don't live long. Because it's not the fact of what you eating, it's how you eating it and how much you is eating it. So in some cases it is moderate. How they call it? Damn, how do you say that word? I can't even get it out right now. But nonetheless though, in most cases, like most people diets, they eat too much of the same stuff and they don't detox, meaning they don't exercise properly, they don't breathe properly, and like I said, they don't detox because you still got to push the stuff out your body. You still have to fast and you still have to rejuvenate your cells and rejuvenate everything. You know what I'm saying? So, these people right here, man, I'm amazed, man. Because like I said, if you look at the life expectancy of a lot of these Europeans when they got here, they was only living to be like in their 50s, man. These people living to be in their hundreds, man. Felix Seymour, 55. Let me see something. So we can go on this other side. Look, you'll see it's more people right here living to be 55. And you see, this is a whole family right here. These are all families right here. And they all, well, I guess Louisa, she owned the most slaves out of all of them than Zeno or whatever. But nonetheless, though, you see like slaves, it's 10 total, so they only have 1 slave. And then they say, look, you see, it say the ages is from 55 to 100. So like I said, in most of these cases, these fucking was family members, yo. They had to be family members because they're telling you at the top that the exploration type of slave owner, if you own slaves that was 55 to 100 years old, these people to be working, they had to be some type of superheroes, man. Because you see now people 80 years old barely can walk around. They barely can see and shit. And you see large amounts of people that's on this census that lived to be over 100 years old. Okay, you see this right here, 55, 55, 55 to 100, 55 to 100, 55 to 100, 55 to 100. Alright? More, 55 to 100. Some of these are a little like younger ages. But, let me see. District of Columbia. So you got a lot of younger ages right here. You got 55 to 100. You still got some. Now, like I said, and then depending on how many slaves they had is how you would really figure. So this one right here says Dubon. This says 9 slaves. So 9 slaves total. So this probably was one of the situations where they was telling you that the slave owner was in control of that. Well, he probably was a slave, or probably was still classified as a slave, but he had way more freedom than the regular slave. He probably was the one who controlled that plantation. So that's why I say 9 out of 9. You see 5 out of 5, 4 out of 4, 4 out of 4, 4 out of 4. Like I said, these could be family members. In most cases, they probably became family members because if they telling you it's so harsh conditions, how the hell people was living to be 100 years old? How? How? You tell me, how was they living to be 100 years old? Because these people was already, they were still eating their foods. They still had their tradition. They probably stayed away from a lot of the pork and a lot of that stuff, man. Not all black people ate pork, but somehow they picked it up. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, man, and the Spanish was known for bringing pigs over here, bringing swine over here. So remember, the Spanish was in Louisiana. So, you know, and like I said, it tells a lot of tales of, like I said, even a tale of the word Negro. You know what I'm saying? Now, you see these people living to be 100 years old. They're living longer than people are living now. So you think that these were slaves? I mean, or you think that these people was treated badly? In some instances, maybe these people was a lot stronger than some of us. 55 to 100, 55 to 100, man. This is ridiculous, man. 55 to 100. I see more 100-year-old people now. I bet you, I mean, I don't know how many 100-year-old people there is, but I mean, it has to probably be a lot. But this is a lot right here. For these people to be treated the way that they told you that they was treated. Look, let me go back. Let me go to the top of this page. Right here. So, alright. So, you got 20, alright, 55 to 100. You see, man, listen, if I was to count this, man, this shit is, it's a lot. 55 to 100, 55 to 100. And when you go down here, 55 to 100, 55 to 100, 55 to 100. Yeah, man, that's a lot of people. These people was living long, and they wasn't living off no European diet. And then also, you have to take in consideration too the sun, man. The sun is very. You need sunlight. Sunlight is what make you live longer. You understand? And that's why I'm telling you. That's why most of them people in the Caribbean was living like they said. Van Spoochie said these people was living to be 150 years old, man. And he said that they had nice physiques, like they was built like fucking bodybuilders, man. You know what I'm saying? And well into their 70s, man, or 80s, man. They wasn't no frail looking men. These men were strong. Even the women, they probably was much stronger than these women now, man. You know what I'm saying? One of them women back then might grab one of these bitch ass niggas up. You know what I'm saying? Well, shit, your mother can grab one of these bitch ass niggas up, but one of these old ladies might grab one of these niggas who think they tough up. Shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, think about that, man. How many people was this? Let me find one that got a lot of them in it. Let me see. Now this one right here. Susanna Downs, right? She only owned one slave, right? The total was 7, but the ages was from 55 to 100. So everybody in that household was within that age. Them people had to be family, man. They had to be family. They had to be family. Like this shit, they had to be family. Look, Brown Grace, she got one slave. And it's 2 people, so it's her and one other slave. That might have been her father, her grandmother, her mother. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? You understand what I'm saying? Who knows? That's how you probably can tell whether or not it was benevolency or the person was benevolent. Look, he got a Spanish name, Frio or Tio. He got a Spanish name. And on 3 slaves, 11 people. So 3 of them were slaves. Alright, look at this number right here. So you got Influine, I don't know how to pronounce Influine Henner. She had 12 slaves. So altogether it was 14 of them, and their ages from 55 to 100. So, like, how common that all these age, like, it's that many people of an older age banding and living together. These are fucking family members, man. These is family members. These probably people who went away and went and said, fuck it, man. My family enslaved. I'm going to go fight for the army. I'm going to get money, and I'm going to come back and get my people free or whatever. And this is probably one of the instances, man. This probably exactly what happened, man. Because that's the only way that these people was obtaining some type of resources or money like that. You understand what I'm saying? They had to be doing something. They had to have some type of service. And most time, you was working for these plantations. All right. See, in this household, Mary Pipno, Pino, Pine, whatever, man. Valentino, Paint, Peepno, I mean, whatever, man. Who knows where these people was from right here? Look at their last name. It's not an English last name. But you see, Mary had one slave, and it was 8 people, and the ages from 55 to 100 again. Same thing with him. 3, 8. These look. These must have been family members. The people you see that's in the same row that has the same last name, more than likely was family members. You know, but Mary, how did a woman win her freedom like that? Like, how was women winning their freedom like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure she lived to be 100 by a hard life, man, or 55. Like, who knows how old? But if what I read was correct, it said that the oldest person in the household was head of the family. So in most of these cases, these people that's fucking 100 years old, I mean, how many of these people are of that age? So you got one person who 90 and another person who 100 or 100. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, man, this is crazy. But I definitely need to go back over it because the first time I did it, people couldn't hear it. You know what I'm saying? So this is Nooms Charles. And say, all right, so Burke County, Georgia. All right, so color. So these 3 people in a row, and all together they own 19 slaves of all, like, who knows, like, probably young people. Well, then you don't see too many young, and you don't even see too many young children in some of these statistics. You don't even see no young children. Some of them you are. Like this one, you see 10 to 24, and it was 3. Louis Ruiz, a Negro named Louis Ruiz. All right, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is what it said: free Negro owners. All right, so a Negro named Louis Ruiz. Okay, how did he get that name? Polly, and say Polly. All right, so 1 to 3. All right, so as you can see, and even this Mary Tenack, she owned 4 slaves, 14 all together in the family from 55 to 100. Same thing here. Check this shit out right here. Susan Jackson, she owned 6 slaves. Now hold up. Now this might be a mistake, or it might just not be clarified. But come on now, look. Susan Jackson owned 6 slaves, 12 people all in the family. All of them was over 100 years old. Now look, I'm not saying that's rational. I'm not even going to sit here and entertain that. Maybe it was a mistake made, or maybe they just failed to fill the numbers incorrectly. But I'm just saying, or maybe that's really true. Who knows? All right. Yeah, it's a lot. We ain't halfway through. Let me see something. Hold up. They got another one too. I just seen another one similar to the one we just went over. And this is all over. This is in all the states. I think I was on 6. Because I just somehow got ahead of myself. Alright, so we was... Let me see. Alright, yeah. Alright, we was right here now. Alright, so you see more people. You see, check this shit out. Betsy Perry. She owned 25 slaves. With her means 26. And they was of age from 55 to 100. These people was family. Phelps Guardian, 2 slaves, 3. This got to be family. This got to be family. I don't see nobody purchasing no old people or whatever, or they probably was doing that act of kindness, knowing like them my people, that's my people. You understand what I'm saying? Jim Tippett, 2 slaves, 55 to 100. Amy Dobson, 4 slaves, 8 total, 55 to 100. This is crazy. Betsy Hicks, 4 slaves, 12 total, 55 to 100. Phil Hills, 4 slaves, 5 total, 55 to 100. And you see, man, this is a lot. All right, let me see. So right here, you got, all right, 3, 55 to 100. Same thing. Clark Grace, he got 1 slave. It's 7 all in the family, and we're all together. Well, yeah, I guess a family. And then the age is from 55 to 100. Same thing. See, Margaret Louvier, yeah. All right, so hey, you pretty much got the same. I'm looking for higher numbers though. All right, like this one right here. See this one right here. Tibbs, Benji, Tibbs, 1 slave, 5 total. It's a 100 plus. So at 5 people, man, 5 people living together. That's over 100 fucking years old. That's still functional people, still sharp. Still, like, these people was dying with their full memory, dying with their full senses. These people probably wasn't, like, most time they probably was mobile. They probably was strong. Their bones was nice and strong. They probably had strong muscles. They didn't overwork themselves or whatever. Come on, cause just think about it. Think about motherfucker work today. Can't make it to be 100. And you talking about how hard slavery was. Slavery probably wasn't as hard as working these jobs today. Because if it was, you'll see people living a lot longer. Okay? You see on here, this is 1830. You see all these people who was living to be 100. These was fucking Negroes. Excuse my language. I was trying not to curse, but you already know. These was Negroes, okay? They was Negroes. These wasn't no Africans. These was indigenous people here, okay? There was indigenous people here. It's still possible to live to 100 if you don't get killed by no guns, or if you don't, if you're allowed to live your life you know what I'm saying, if ain't no catastrophes, or if the government don't kill, or if don't nobody else try to, you know what I'm saying, kill you or whatever, you know what I'm saying, for you to live that long. I mean, it could be done, but who knows? Like, most of these people you see that's 100 years old, some of them are still functional, some of them are in wheelchairs, some of them are blind. You know what I'm saying? But most of the people that live long like that, man, are strong people, man. They're strong. You know what I'm saying? So, we see it, man. Alright, so even right here, you see more. Right here, you see the same thing. This one ain't got a name. It say a woman. Say woman. This might be her. Alright, no, I'm probably just showing her class. See, on some of them, I guess in some states, they did it how they wanted to do. Sally was a free woman. Probably two people in the family. Who knows? This could have been her and her concubine. She probably had a young. She probably was young, or had an older man, or it might have been a father, or it might have been an uncle, it might have been anybody. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? What would somebody need 1 slave for? You know what I'm saying? Same thing. 55, 55, 55, 55, 55, 55, 55. Oh, this one, hold up. No, let me see this one. The numbers ain't that high right here. This one is 60. This one is 6 slaves. One I guess the slave owner, and it's 55 to 100. Alright, same thing with this one. Oh, it's a lot of them, man, and I'm only on the page 8, but I know as I go down, it's gonna be plenty of them. Let me see. Alright, pretty much the same thing. This one right here got 10. Well, this one got 8 people in the total family. This one has 10. Let me see. This one has 8. You see this one here? Jaquez. Where do you think Jaquez came from? Where do you think Jaquez came from? Jaquez might have came from Louisiana. Okay, because that's a Jaquez. And then when you see these names, like these French names, we already know these are French names, and that's what the people in Haiti got. But as well, you find people in in Louisiana with these same last names. Now people talk about the Creole. The Creoles are supposed to be indigenous people, but the Creoles look like they are just light skinned fucking people. Okay? They don't look like they know different people. They ain't nothing but light skinned people. That's it. You understand what I'm saying? We know, remember the Spanish was there and the French was there. So you see the influences. And that's the reason why you don't see the influences like that in Africa. If they had such a good relationship, they was going over there snatching Africans like that. Why don't you see a large population of Africans that's mixed like that? Kind of unheard in certain areas. You do see, like, fair skinned Africans, but they indigenously was like that. They don't have no influence on no European. But that's what I'm saying. It's a lot, man. It's just a lot with that. You know what I'm saying? So you go down, and then also you gotta take into account too that, you know what I'm saying, unless it's a lot of them there. You know what I'm saying? One thing, like Jack Forbes, I checked his interview out, and he was saying that the Portuguese mixed in with a lot of the people that they was conquering, meaning Brazil, meaning Puerto Rico. That's why the Puerto Ricans look the way they look. That's the reason why Brazil, but it was so many motherfucking Negroes in Brazil, they couldn't do it there. They couldn't do it there. Because even if you go in Brazil now, yeah, all right, they're fair skinned, but the population, the majority of population there are still Negroes. Even with the Chinese coming in, white people coming in, the Portuguese coming in, the majority of people in Brazil today are still Negroes. If you look at the numbers in Brazil, the numbers exceed way over 200,000. And that's only in one area, okay? That's half of the United States, all in one area. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. That's all in one area. Brazil is, I'm not going to say it's a small area, but it's a pretty decent size. You know what I'm saying? It's probably about the size of maybe Texas and another state, maybe. Maybe might just be the size of Texas. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, it's a lot, man. It's a lot of research got to be done. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this video up, man. We're gonna go down a little further. I want to see some key states though, like Louisiana. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can find French names in Louisiana. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now, if you look at most of these names don't look like they English. Despair, Rosaire, Lavard, Max, Brim. All right, and these names sound like they probably English right here, but Dauphin, Senla. These look like French names. Some of these names, Bartholomew, Marimat. These look like French names. Okay, now this is in Louisiana, right? This is in Louisiana. I guarantee you that these are indigenous people who just converted into the French colonization, because they said that the French was a lot settled with most of the Aborigines. You know what I'm saying? But look at the names. These look like French names. While we in Louisiana, you see French names. Look at the names. Look at the names. People still living to be 100. Look at this shit right here. Hold up, man. I might have overlooked something. Let me go back. Look at this right here. Look. So the total of the family, I'm only looking for the ones with the large majority of people from 55 to 100 on this one. Alright? You could do the research on your own, but just we in Louisiana and these people got French names. Alright? They still got French name in 1830. This is this is after the Louisiana Purchase. Okay? These people still got what's the name? French names. Okay? Alright, so that tell you that the people in Louisiana could have been the people who was taken to Haiti. And then, like I said, and then also it was already Aborigines still in Haiti. So it might have been they might have bought some people there and bought them with the people who was already there. And then, you know what I'm saying, and then them people had some type of rebellion. But if you look, you will see obviously some of these names on here are French names. Okay, I don't speak French, but you can tell some of them have hyphens and shit over them. You know what I'm saying? All right, so hold on, let me look at that one right there. This one, so this one got 20. 12 of them were slaves. 20 people altogether, from 55 to 100. 11 slaves. 21 total. 55 to 100. But here you got 10. 55 to 100. See, this one had a lot of slaves. Look, this one had 48 slaves, man. 38 of them, no, 48 people in the family. 38 of them were slaves. Look, from 36 to 55. Now, this probably was a explorative. I mean, the exploration type of slaves. This one had 71 slaves. Okay, I bet you look his name up, trace his name down, to see if he got any influence in Louisiana. Okay. Cause look, he had a lot of slaves. He had 71 fucking slaves. That's a lot of manpower, right? Small. I mean, so this 24 to 36, 44. Yeah, they see some of these people had a lot of slaves, man. Here, man. Look, he had 76 slaves, man. Look, Antoine Ducreury. I don't know what kind of name this is, but he had 70 slaves, and altogether was 76, from 36 to 55. And that's what I'm saying. These people, for the way that they show you slavery was and how shit was being done, for people to live to be 55 years old, and you see 20, 50-year-olds to 100-year-old people in one household. This one 3, but look at this one. This one is 38. It's 38 people in a family from 58 to 100. 25 of them were slaves. Okay? And as you go down, you see, look at this one right here. This one got 26, 10 of them were slaves. Victor Deprion, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? D. Kirsi. This is a French name. You know what I'm saying? This is a French name. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these are French names. You know what I'm saying? France. Anytime you see Francis, that's a French name, or whatever. So. This one had 26, man. 26 people lived from 100. And like I said, this shit gonna take me over the time that I wanted to do this video. But you see, this one had 38 people. Look at down here. This one had 66 people that was over the age of 55 to 100. And 1830. People now don't even, like I said, people now don't even live comfortably over that age. And I guarantee you, these 100-year-old people were still moving. And they, you know what though, some of them probably had the mentality that they really couldn't shut down, because they knew if they shut down, what that meant for them, or whatever. Or maybe that wasn't the situation. Maybe some of these people was like bedridden, but I will assume that I don't believe that they was, because they wouldn't count them as active people. They would say, all right, well, we got one person, or maybe I'm wrong about that, but you know what I'm saying. That's just my opinion on it though. But this one right here got 60 people in the household from 55 to 100. This one has 20 people in the household from 55 to 100. 16 people. Alright, this is crazy. 62 people right here from 55 to 100. And this guy right here, Deslandes. Victory, whatever, man. I can't pronounce this shit. All right, so she had 77 people. All right, I mean, and even though these are fair young people though, but still, you would think that a slave will only live probably to be fucking like 30, 40 years old. The way they was telling you the quality of life was, even when you look in Europe, they was telling you the quality of life of Europeans is living. They was only living to be like maybe 40, 50 years old. This is in the 18th century, and you see many people who live to be over 100 years. You understand? You see this, 12 people, 14 people, like it just goes on and on and on as far as I keep looking. And that was in Louisiana. Let me see something else. Let me see, Louisiana. Alright. Also look for Spanish names too, because remember Spanish was there too. Alright, so look, 54 people from 55 to 100. Alright, I don't think in all cases they got this wrong. Alright, I don't think in all cases they got these wrong. I believe in some cases these are correct. It's 44 slaves. All right, this is a French name. Lenormand. This is a French name. This is a French. All these are French names. We still in Louisiana, okay? All of these are French names. It shows you that the influence that the French had there before they was kicked out by the English. All right. So look at this one. 26, 50, 55 to 100. This one got 87, 55 to 100, 14, 55 to 100. And I just go on and on and on. More 30. Look, man, this is a lot. Man. This is a lot. Let me see something. 57, 55 to 100, 11. This is a lot, man. It's a lot of people, man, living to be well over. Because you would assume, man, that people who had hard lives, like they told you, that these people was living to probably be like maybe 55 to 60. But you see different. You see these, and these are French names. Boulay. You see the hyphen. This one right here, Bour. See this one right here, Dupree. Dupree, look, Dupree. They had six slaves. Dupree, look. Let me see something. Let's go down. Let's see some more. We can find some more Duprees. Their own slaves. Yeah, but it's a lot of 55 to 100s. Damn, they had. I can't believe they had age groups like that though. Considering what the age group is now, like how people die now. I know some of the stuff that, you know what I'm saying, but you see in most of these cases with people who had these slaves, most of them was older people, because I believe that these had to be some type of family members, you know what I'm saying, or of certain tribes. Like, nah, we want to keep our people together or whatever. But some of them probably was benevolent. Some cases it might have been just a husband and the total 4 and 1 slave, that might have been the wife, and the 3 might have been 2 kids and a husband. You know what I'm saying? But this 55 to 100, so I doubt that. This right here, Mary Clark, 2 people in the family, 1. This might have been her husband. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Or her mother, or, I mean, shit, I know 55. That's a long age group for somebody to be getting with, but, I mean, who knows? So, yeah, man, look, this one, look at this shit. Now, like I said, sometimes they are making mistakes in this, so, and they leaving it, like I said, confusion, but, I mean, under the assumption of what they doing. Okay, they said, so it's 16 people. Only 2 of these people were slaves. And so it's 100-year-old people living in one household? Damn. Like, I mean, yo, you have to, I would love, that need to be a reality show. 16 100-plus-year-olds living in a fucking house. What kind of shit was going on? Like, wow, that's crazy. Wow. If that's true, that's amazing. If that's true, that definitely is amazing. No lie. All right, so right here you got 18, 55 to 100. Damn. And notice you don't really see like no real young children. Like you only see like 10, maybe 10 is the oldest that I see on here. And I didn't see no reason why they wouldn't count them. But see here, you see all in Louisiana. When you look on here, all you see is all French names. All of these names are French. So understand this: if the people in Haiti got French names, okay. So let's say the people in Haiti, they got French names. So do the people in Louisiana. It's funny how the people in Louisiana speak Creole and the people in Haiti speak Creole. You know what I'm saying? Let that one marinate. Because look up when was the fucking the Haitian war or the Haitian Revolution or whatever you want to call it. It was in 1804. So when you have to look, when did the French leave Louisiana? And where did they go afterwards? You honestly believe that the French that was in Louisiana ain't had no connections to Haiti? Or no, they that close. They right there in Louisiana. You mean tell me you don't think they had no connections to Haiti? The French that was here in the United States, that was in St. Louis, do you honestly believe that they had no contact with the French that was in Haiti? You honestly believe that? I mean, come on, use your brain. And this, like I said, this is in 1830. This 1834 census of free Negroes, and these are Negro slave owners. So these people might have been set free because you see that the English really wasn't enslaving people because in a lot of these towns, but it really, like I said, this is a complicated situation when you look at this. this whole, you know what I'm saying, colonization or how they moved from east to west though. But in a lot of these cases though, you see that it was people who was free, and under what circumstances is unknown. Because some of them might have been army men, but who knows how else they bought their free. These might have been indentured servants of tribes who, you know what I'm saying, of tribes who basically said, all right, well, we're gonna conform, or we're gonna come together with the Europeans and work with them, and they gave their culture up eventually, and then they took on the names of the people of there. They said, well, fuck it, you might as well take our name. You might as well call yourself Jones, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You walking around here calling yourself your indigenous name. Come on, you might as well call yourself Jones. Come on, man. Just call yourself. And that's probably how it went on. And that's probably how these people got these names. But this is something interesting, that the people in the free Negro slaves that was in Louisiana, most of them, if you look on here, these look like French names to me. Okay? So you see people, you see massive people who living over the age of 55 to 100, and that shit is amazing, because like I said, today you don't even see people living like that. So yeah, man, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's a lot on here. You see a lot more. You see 21 people in the household that was from 55 to 100, 17, 12, 11, 17 again, 11, 11. That's a lot of people, man. I'm sorry. That's a lot of people, because like I said, considering that people do not live long these days, that is considerably amount of people that was living over ages where people is just starting to die. Like, these people was probably living, as they was getting older, they probably was getting more younger. But that's how fertile the food probably was, because most people, their bodies start disintegrating like every day, because of what happens is you're not putting the minerals that's supposed to take care of that situation in place. And most, like I said, the minerals come from the dirt. The animal, the vegetable or the plant sucks up the moisture through the water, through and I guess it's somehow what they call that water soluble or whatever, and they able to process the minerals, and their body absorbs the minerals. That's the same process when you eat. So you look at what you eat and look at what's the process of it to look like it looks. So something like French fries. Okay, we already know potatoes is high in carbohydrates. We already know what carbohydrates do. Whether you study Dr. Sebi, you already know. And understand this too. French fries probably more than likely was invented here in the Americas. Because remember, there was no potatoes nowhere else. None of these people know about potatoes. They said none of the people in Europe knew about potatoes. So they said that when they found the potato here. So trust and believe the French fries was made here. Trust and believe that. The Negro probably made that too. They just ain't telling you that. Because you would think, oh, French fries. If they made fried chicken, why wouldn't they make French fries? They made potatoes, potato chips. Potato chips is just a thinner version of a fried potato. You know what I'm saying? So let that one marinate, okay? Negroes probably made French fries. I ain't gonna do no research on it. Let somebody else do the research on it. And it more, like I said, it was probably made here, because if they saying they ain't had none in England, more likely they ain't have none in France neither. You know what I'm saying? So you see more 50. You got 25 people in the family. 11 were slaves, 55 to 100. 23, 55 to 100. 22, 55 to 100. And so on, man. And like I said, man, it's a lot. And like I said, these people got French names, because the French just left there probably 40 years ago. So they still hold on to the names of French names. That's why you see people who got French names. And that's how you can tell who they was colonized by, or who influence they had according to their attribute. Okay? So see more people, man. It's like I said, it's just a lot, man. I ain't going on and on and on. But, just another, like I said, analysis of how you can see all these people got French names, all of them. Oh, this is a French name, this is a French name. These are all French names. I ain't going to say all of them, but the majority of ones that I do see are French names. And then, like, you know what I'm saying, all these people living from 55 to 100 years old. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of them, man. And we only in Louisiana. We ain't even go to North Carolina. Let's see, that's Maine. You don't see too many people, but the two Negroes, there's only two Negroes. One of them was a slave, 55 to 100. 5 to 100. Here again. Here again. You see it, look. This one got 42. And like I said, if you want to do some real research, look on there and see the ones that got a lot of slaves. Look on there and see if they have any influence in that area, because more than likely their family is probably still in that area wherever they was at. This is Maryland, so what the hell is that? Syria. Alright, so yeah, man. See right here, look. Chase, Richard Chase. He had 23 people, 15 of them were slaves, 55 to 100. Same thing. Henry Mander, 17 slaves, 25 in total, 55 to 100. So this is crazy, man. Because you don't see households like that now, bro. You could count on your finger how many people got an ancestor that lived to be 100 years old. You understand what I'm saying? Just think about that. It seemed like all these people, if they wasn't killed or they wasn't poisoned, was living to be that long. Remember what they told you. They had smallpox. And how was these people living to be 100? Look at this shit right here. Look what I just found right here. Look, Meade, Meade, 17 slaves, one owner, and he was 100 plus. Okay? So when you see this number, this means 100 plus. But like I said, it might be a mistake. So I'm not going to take that in face value, but just to see that, okay, it might not been a mistake. 18 100-year-olds living in one room, living in one house. Yeah, all right, that's crazy. So that's Maryland. Let me see. And you see the names change. You see they got English names again. Okay. When it was in Louisiana, everybody had damn near French names. You know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of 100-year-old people in France. I mean, in Louisiana. Right here, you see 103 people, 100 plus. I mean, I know people gotta find that to be amazing. These probably 100-year-old people who probably can still bench press probably like 250. Like really, these people was living to be old like this, man. When they give you the story of Roots and all this, excuse me, sorry about that. They give you the story of Roots and all this old other stuff, all this old other fictional stuff that they give you on TV or whatever. These people look like they had good lives, man. Look, Farrell, John Farrell. He had 6 people, 1 slave, lived to be over 100 years old. Like I said, in some cases, these probably not mistakes, but don't quote me on them. I'm not going to sit here and be naive. Oh, shit, 18 100-year-old people in one house? What? Like, that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. That's something that should be looked at that as amazing, because you will never see that today. You don't see that in one state. I don't think in one state they got 18 100-year-old people. You know what I'm saying? Probably in the Caribbean, I'm not going to say like we know in the Caribbean people definitely live that old. But now, because of the influence of how what's going on now, shit, you got to buy your food out. And most people, you know, either cooking or if they is cooking, they cooking them indigenous plants, man. And they not cooking them very long. They cooking them just enough to break down the fibers in them just to eat them. Or some of them are eating them like, you know what I'm saying? Some of them are eating them like in salads and stuff like that. But yeah, man, that's shit, man. That's all I can say, man. These people living to be over 100. Right here, another Neil Thomas Neil, living to be over 100. Ah, man, let me see if we can go down. Let me see if we can find some more. Well, there's a lot of black slave owners in Maryland. There's a lot, and like I said, man, these was probably indentured servants related to the first people who was there. And they didn't have no problems with these Europeans, so these Europeans left them alone and let them allow their own slave, in which these could be family members in most cases, man. And it's a lot. Look at Maryland. Look, all these black slave owners in Maryland. Are you serious? What's it, Missouri? That's St. Louis. Let me see. Let me see. Missouri was continued. Let me see something. Mississippi didn't have a lot. So Mississippi only had a couple of black slave owners. Right here, let me see. Yeah, they was real racist out in motherfucking Mississippi. That's why the further you going south, why them people so fucking racist. You know what I'm saying? No damn well they ain't from there. They racist as hell though. It's New Jersey. New Jersey had a joker named Hercules. Hercules Holmes. Alright, so I don't see no people living to be over 100 in New Jersey and New York. Shit, couple. Excuse me. Shit, couple. But you see in a lot of these northern states, you don't see a lot of people own a lot of slaves. North Carolina. And you could pretty tell which one was benevolent. I don't think nobody going fucking and buy 16, 100 plus year old people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even think them people counted. Cause understand this, man. If you indigenous, all right, we don't know what kind of calendar the Aborigines had here, but if you can't comprehend the conception of what a year is, then how can you tell a person your age? No one never told you, oh, a year is 12 months or whatever, and 12 months is a year. If you never knew that, how would these people counting their age, or how old was they? That would be something interesting too, because indigenous people, how was they really counting their age? If without the European calendar, which is, like I said, 12 months is a year or whatever, you know, and even with time and all that other shit though, how were they calculating time, or how would they know they was calculating time according to sunlight and nighttime or whatever? But like I said, man, just think about that. Like, you know what I'm saying, how would they calculate how old these people was when the calendar probably wasn't even being taught? So if you got a so-called an Indian or a black Aborigine that's 100 years old that haven't been educated by the Europeans, and you ask him how old he is, how the fuck he supposed to know how old he is? You know what I'm saying? Just think about that. How are you supposed to know how old you are? Like, all right, you supposed to say, well, I mean, what kind of? I can't even think about it because I've never even thought about something in that order like that. But this is crazy though, to see a lot of these people was living to be over 100 years old. So, you know, like I said, I did this video before, but I just wanted to do a retouch on it to go over some further things in North Carolina. But yeah, I mean, yeah, y'all look through it, man. I mean, I posted this before. I don't know if people still got it. But see, Negro. Alright. So I'm gonna go to something else real quick. Let me see. To this right here. What I was touching on the other night. And shout out to the brother who put this in the link for me. And this is the Forebears. And this is the name, like you can search for surnames. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then they tell you, let me see. Now I say, look, so say Wood is one of many local surnames which is derived from a particular geographical feature of the neighborhood. Other common examples of hill, moor, field, and so on until long after the normal conquest, much after the English countryside was wooded. It say which accounts for the popularity of the name. Okay, so words. I mean, I just give you an idea. Let me see if I can find a matriarchic surname. Let's see, something like, you know, anything with son on it means that, like Jack, or that's Jack's son, or Harris' son. All that's them easy ones. But something. Let me see. Brown. Alright, so it say the name Brown is an old color name which is a form of nickname. Color names usually refer to the complexion or hair of the owner. Oh shit. The complexion or hair of the owner. There are several common names which begin life as color names. Thus, the name Reed, Red, and Red derives from Old English word reed, which means red. Alright, so it tells you right there. So reed. So the word reed came from red. Alright. So I mean it's definitely, like I said, this is, y'all can look through this, check your last names out and see whether or not, you get an idea what kind of last name you got. And right here, let me read a little bit of this, and we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna go through this. Say the origin of surname. It says surname is part of a personal name that is passed from either or both parents to their offspring. Say custom or format. Surname changes from region to region, and their usage has changed over time. In most Western nations, the surname occurs at the end of a personal name after a given name or names. Conversely, some East Asian countries and Hungarian place the surname before given names. Okay, so in most regions and time periods, surnames was assumed based on descent from a male ancestor, usually the father, but in some cases were passed by the mother. Use of the mother's surname is usually due to extenuating circumstances and illegitimacy, patronymus, birth, inheritance, etc. Though in some regions, cultures dedicated to use of the mother's surname, meaning many speaking Spanish nations use both the mother and the father's surname to create a dual surname. Historically, some families use family or house names that are considered different from surnames. Some examples are the royal family of Carolingian, whatever, Plantagenet. So in some cases, those of the house may use a surname other than their house name. It say or no name at all. Alright. So let me see. Alright, so I'm going to read a little bit more of this. Alright, so surnames in the family had arisen throughout history. The civilization advanced became increasingly useful to distinguish people when they are recorded in written records, particularly tax records. The earliest surname in Western Europe grew out of existing method of distinguishing people. Thus, the noble ruling of Sevar may have been known as Umberto de Sevar. A blacksmith may have been known as John I.E. Smith, and a bald man may be known as William the Bald. Much in the same way we refer to people in similar ways today, such as John or Gold or Rachel or Bean or Encounter. And say these names were necessarily hereditarily, but we dictate the circumstance. The son of noble Umberto de Sevar made rule the Lorraine and alright, so you know what, I'm gonna skip over some of this shit right here. Some of this shit is just bullshit. Alright, so let's say for example, we largely adapt between 11th and 16th century in England, between 16th century and 19th century in Wales, and between the 11th and 19th century in Scotland. Each family has to be taken on case by case basis, though it's not possible to prove the origins of most surnames. It is possible to make an educated guess in some cases. Alright, so surname origin is influenced by progenitor, social class of culture they lived in. Those of higher social status often took surnames that are uncommon today, whereas people of lower status often took what are today's common surnames. It is also clear to people of lower social status had less control over the surname, no doubt handed to them by aldermen, lords, and other authorities. Thus, we find numerous insulting surnames such as Dill, Welsh, or Fat, Dardiff, meaning sluggish, and Dillard, meaning hard or conceited man. There are a number of different origins of surnames. Tribal are more patriotic. Alright, so tribal and more patriotic societies often have the surname derived from the male, while developed societies with trades and established rulers often have the large number of surnames derived from the occupation or place names. Alright, now look, just keep this in mind that this is not accurate, because we do know that a lot of people held matriotic names or whatever, so don't let that throw you off or whatever. But you know everything is not going to be 100 in this or whatever, and I don't take nothing 100 when I read. If I see something that's sending red flags, I'm gonna definitely correct that, but I'm not going to dismiss the whole work. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately you can gain a lot of information just from using this, whether everything you agree with or you don't agree with it. But if you want to search your last name, this would be a good way to do it, or search your family last name. Because some people got 5 or 6 last names in their family. So you have to search which one's the origin. How do we all connect ourselves? Okay, we connect ourselves through Jackson. All right, the person we relate to name was Jackson. All right, what was Jackson? And then you go on from there. All right, so you got patronymic surnames. Okay? Alright, so the majority surnames derive from the name of male ancestors. Alright, so we already know that. Patronymic. Alright, so occupation surnames derived from the occupation of an ancestors are also common, with Smith being the most common surname in the UK. The category of surnames is divided into 2 groups: standard occupation and titular occupations, such as Stuart, derived from the ancient clan titles in Scotland. Typographical surnames. Typographical surnames can be derived from a feature of landscape, hill, ford, or from a place named London, Aston. Okay, so that's typographical. So if you named after your country, like I see people, I know one of my boys, his last name is Nigeria or whatever, or Nigeria, something in that effect or whatever. So that would be our typographical surname. You know what I'm saying? Something in that order. You say those surnames derive from the place name were initially adopted by families that held the land. Alright, so you got descriptive surnames. Descriptive surnames are less common, partly as they were often derived from unflattering characteristics such as stupidity, griff, baldness, and sometimes outright insult like black in the mouth. Many of these surnames had disappeared. There is on the other hand good survival of surname derived from the positive or neutral characteristics, those things meaning trustworthy, young, white, and good. Alright, so now you got matronymic surname. Matronymic surname derived from the name of the female ancestor, usually the mother, are uncommon in most parts of the world. Such names may arise due to a legitimate and posthumous birth. It said and occur among nobility when the mother was highly ranked than her spouse, or bit on the side. So that's what the fuck they gonna probably start doing now, because half these women now is highly ranked over their spouse, man. So man, y'all check this out, man. Definitely shout out to the brother who sent this to me. Thanks, man. I appreciate a lot of the information people send, man. It's been a long ride down this rabbit hole, man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I gotta step away from it, man, because you know it's just a lot, man. It's definitely a lot. But definitely, man, you look your last name up right here, and then you can go from there, man. So you know what I'm saying. Let me see. Well, what's an uncommon name that a black person normally have? Let me see. I don't want to pick none with Jackson or Jefferson or none of that shit, or Johnson. Let me see something like Tyson. Probably, damn, you know what? I just did some dumb shit. Because probably Tyson. So Tisson, it's a Baronio, so a baron. So he probably was a baron. They say the Thenses were commonly said to have possessed a third of Normandy. Okay, so alright, so Tyson, that's where it came from. This is a Normandy name. Okay, so the name of his family was originally Tissio, and it's stated to have been seated in the vicinity of Algolium. It say whence the Gotham origins may be inferred. So see that, man, like, so definitely, man, y'all check this out, man. I'm gonna put this in a link, man. And if I don't, just leave a message, man, so I can remember. Because sometimes I'll be rushing because it takes a long time for some of these videos to download. And, you know what I'm saying, sometimes I'll be rushing just to try to upload it. And then I edit and fix it. Like, sometimes I misspell words. I don't really give a fuck about that. As long as you understand the content. Alright, so with that being said, I am the Thompsons. One, peace to the Aborigines, peace to the people who think they black, peace to the people who think they African, peace to the white people. You understand what I'm saying? Peace to everybody, man. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know, you gotta definitely have peace in your heart, man, because hatred and just, even though whatever the circumstances is, man, that shit weigh a lot on you, man. Hating or having hate or whatever, that shit weigh a lot on you, man. And you see people, if people are very peaceful people out here, whether they know the history or not, but it's definitely up to you that when asked or when prompted to let them know that you're not black or you're not an African American. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, you know, in more and more like type of settings where there are like debates going on, or you hear people, oh, black people don't, you know, if you got the knowledge, clear that up. I don't care where you at. Don't, you know what I'm saying, don't be ashamed of who you are, be ashamed of where you came from or who your people was, man. Because then some people, some of our ancestors was people who owned slaves, some of us was the slaves, and so on. Some of us was the people who decided to go fight in these wars. So it goes on and on and on, man. I'm just, you know, I'm just learning. I just learned to kind of like accept the history, because prior to that I didn't accept it properly, but now I just learned how to accept it, man. You know what I'm saying? And history is what the history is, and I'm just, you know, I'm just trying to just be recognized for who I am or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's still a lot of work to be done. You still gotta look at family up, try to go back. But with that being said, that's the least you can do. You know what I'm saying? Don't call yourself an African, because the people that's in that continent, I mean, or, all right, continent. What the fuck do the word continent, container? Continent means container or contain. Okay, so to call a continent and have a name for that continent, the person who came there to conquer it was the people who did that. Prior to that, it was people on that landmass that all looked at alike, where they came and said, all right, well, we can say that all black people is from here, considering the fact, even though that we found black people everywhere else, because there's a large majority of them heavily concentrated in this one area. Okay, but like I said, man, when you learn the history, you already know that they took Aborigines from here back to Africa, and as well as what we did yesterday with the Maroons and the Maroons going to Sierra Leone. All right, so with that being said, man, it's your boy Taj, and it's one love and light. Peace to all the Aborigines. Peace to everybody, man. I'm out. Peace.